So I just came from watching The Old Guard 2, starring Charlize Theron as Andromache. You have to watch the first movie. If you've not watched the first movie, this movie will not have any real depth to you. And if you've watched the first movie, please consider rewatching it because I had to rewatch it so that I could really get the depth of how good the first film was and so that I can do a comparison with this second one. Now, this film attempts to explain some stuff, and by trying to explain, it also makes some other things a bit complicated. I'm not going to have any spoilers. This is going to be a non-spoiler review. Found a lot of things to be wrong with this film and a lot of things to be good. So I'm just going to mix them up, the good and the bad. The film does explain some stuff from the first film. For example, it explains how Andromache did not end up in a coffin, but her friend Queen ended up in a coffin. This entire film, the premise is that it is following the events of a story that was told in the first movie, which is there was an immortal who was friends with Andromache. Andromache is Charlize Theron's character, and that friend was thrown into the ocean, but Charlize Theron was left without being thrown in the ocean. So the movie explains how that happens. It also explains how Charlize Theron's character lost her immortality in the first movie. Okay, that's pretty good, but it does not explain how another friend of Charlize Theron's character lost his immortality. In the first movie, they definitely show you that Charlize Theron's character had a friend who was like stabbed in war or something and he died. They don't explain how that one lost his immortality, but they explain how Charlize Theron lost her immortality. The movie gets really complicated for no apparent reason. This movie is more of a character-oriented film. So if you're looking for action, I think in the first hour there is like only two really good action scenes, and the movie is about 1 hour 45. So even in the second hour, there's only like two really good action scenes, in my opinion. The movie is mostly drama. It's more drama between Charlize Theron's character, Andromache, and Queen, the lady who was thrown into the ocean. Uma Thurman is there. Uma Thurman plays Discord, who is supposed to be the antagonist in this film. First of all, the name Discord is just not intimidating. I prefer the villain of the first. The villain of the first movie was a bit more compelling because the villain of the first movie, I believe, played by Dudley from Harry Potter, right? That dude, he had some good motivation in that he wanted to understand how the healing of these old gods works, and he wanted to make like a cure. Okay, he is big pharma, so he owns a big pharmaceutical company, so he just wants to make money out of it, but at least his motivation was a bit strong. But here, Discord, played by Uma Thurman, is not a very compelling antagonist. At first, her motivation is like, these immortals are just playing God and ruining history. And then later on, her whole motivation is sort of changed around. And whichever motivation you pick, the one that they tell you in the beginning of the movie or the one that they tell you at the end, to me, neither of them seemed really compelling. So in terms of villain, this villain is worse, in my opinion. Some good stuff that I liked about this film was, even though the action scenes felt less than the ones in the first film, I did like the fight scene there was a fight scene between Andromache and Queen, though I don't understand why Queen is angry in this movie. Queen meets up with Andromache and she's mad. I don't understand this anger. Maybe it's a chick thing. I don't know, man. How do you expect your friends to find you in a coffin in the middle of the ocean? Even Charlize Theron's character says, I tried looking for you for centuries. And this chick is like, I'm still mad. Queen is still like, I'm still mad. I don't understand. Personally, if it was me, if I had been drowned and then I got out, I would be like, I'd be like, I'm out. It's time to party, you know? One character called Booker. Booker gets a really good redemption arc. The redemption arc was a bit predictable because there's a character who like explains what Booker is going to do, or he foreshadows it. Let me say, he foreshadows what Booker is going to do. But other than Booker getting good character development, all the other characters were kind of meh, or their motivations were kind of meh. And the whole law of the whole movie, when I say law, I mean Lore, was kind of complicated. New mechanics on how immortality works were introduced in this movie, and it all just became very complicated, and the execution was just not working for me. The ending was also pretty underwhelming. I understand that this is supposed to be a trilogy, but even when a movie is part of a trilogy, it's supposed to have like a good punchy ending, and this one just didn't give me a good punchy ending. So out of 10, I think I'd give this movie a 5. Huge drop from the first one. The first one I'd give it an 8, but this one I just give it a 5 out of 10, man. If you have not watched this and you're planning to watch it for the action, very little action. Compared to the first one, very little action. Here they try to focus more on the character work, but the character work does not progress as much. They the law tries to be improved, but they muddle it up and they make it more complicated than it should be. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to smash like and subscribe. If you watched this movie, tell me what you thought about it. I just felt like it's a huge letdown from the first film. For more reviews, check out this one's on screen. I'll see you in the next one.